Oh, that was my favorite part of it.
Yeah, mine too.
Just sitting around, hanging out, eating
Yep.
bar food.
So what we were talking about prior to me hitting the old record on the button here was that, you know, for us, this fucking dumbass podcast with our 15s of listeners, it really does feel like we're just sitting around the bar rail, just chatting it up with some buddies.
Yeah.
Right? Just sitting there.
Yep.
I mean, no beer. We have some Alps, but I mean,
Alps.
that's
Ooh,
what it
can I
feels
get a
like.
niner?
Yeah, you want a niner?
Yeah, I want a niner.
Good buddy.
I'm gonna even.
Remember how we just
Swap.
talked about how irritated I was with some clients today? I'm going to double.
Ooh.
We're going in hard, baby!
18 for a Friday. You're gonna be peaked.
Yep. Well, I got to go home and pack for this fucking bullshit trip I'm going on this weekend with the boys.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be so fucking hot.
Dude, I feel myself getting bricked up by the second.
I'm not even.
Don't get uncomfortable.
I'm not even. I'm not even worried about you parents out there. Like, them fucking kids are just gonna be.
So I tried to be proactive because I'm that type of parent, right?
Yeah.
Tried to be proactive. I went over to Have a Bar today and I bought a 10-pound block of dry ice.
Oh, did they have some?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
So currently sitting in my freezer, keeping it cool.
Mhm.
I've got a cooler for tomorrow. So I'm going to put in there, like, obviously some water bottles,
Right.
but I'm going to put in there like some wet towels and let that freeze on the dry ice. So
Okay.
after their games, take towels out, drape them around their neck and shit.
Yeah.
I've seen parents do that previously, and it should keep everything pretty chill.
Okay.
I would think.
Okay.
I would think. So we're going to give that a shot.
I think so too. Have you seen those little neck things that they make with the water beads in them?
No.
So they're small. They're only about, I don't know, 2 inches thick probably, and I'd say 18 to 20 inches long, not shaped like a wiener. You fucking child. But you soak them in water and it's got these moisture beads in it, and they all fucking. I'm not even gonna say it.
Does it
But
get bigger when it warms up?
yeah, I'm not even gonna say it. But yes, the beads grow full of moisture, and then they stay cold, and you put them on your neck, and it works the same way as a towel, but takes up less space.
This is so fucking phallic. Everything you talk about is related to dicks, bro. You even said, about 2 inches around, about 18 inches.
I didn't say round. I said
We're gonna
about 2
fucking play
inches
that
long.
shit back.
We are.
You fucking liar. Holy fuck.
You made that up so it'd be dick shaped.
You just eat bananas for the shape, you fuck.
I don't even peel them.
Yeah, you do. With 2 hands, though. Oh, my God. Well, yes, so we're back to a normal cadence.
Yeah.
Let's actually have a reasonable conversation here. So it's Friday. So we're recording on Friday for our Wednesday episode, which is great because I am so fucking busy next week when you're out of work. So this works out great.
It's going to be fantastic.
Yep. I'll be able to edit during the workday because I'll need to get away from the children because it's summer vacation.
Yeah, and I don't have to work this weekend. Yeah, your kids are all done with school. It's great.
Yeah, they finished yesterday.
Hell yeah.
So I have a lacrosse tournament this weekend. The girls also have a softball tournament this weekend.
Oh, shit. I didn't know
So the
that.
wife and girls are staying home because they just play a little bit north of our house.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going over to fucking Three Rivers.
Ooh, the land of 3 rivers.
The land of 3 Rivers, right outside of Kazoo.
Yeah.
So we're going to be over there. I'm a cheap motherfucker. Frugal. Cheap. Yes. Didn't want to get a hotel room tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dude, I don't want to get a fucking hotel room for Friday and Saturday because they play 3 games on Saturday and then they play in the winner's bracket or just the bracket on Sunday.
Right.
So I'm like, we're just going over fucking Saturday morning, bro. I'm like, I don't care if we have an 8 o'clock game and we got to leave at fucking 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I said, I ain't fucking doing it.
Well, I mean, what is it? 2 hours less?
2.5.
2.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
2.5. I'm driving the new car, so maybe it'll be 2.
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
see. We'll see. I have a propensity to speed in that thing.
I bet that motherfucker's going to be great.
It's going to be phenomenal.
Super comfortable.
We are looking at temperatures like real feel of like 105.
That is gnarly.
It is going to be hot as a motherfucker. And let me put it to you this way. My kids do not handle heat well.
Oh boy.
They do not, like, their faces get super red. So like I'm legitimately concerned about like them overheating and not being able to do shit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and of course our jerseys are black.
Ugh.
So I'm like, when your game's over, get out all your shit. Get out
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Expose your body to some air. I said, we'll have some of those towels, bring some white t-shirts, some big shit.
Yeah, I would say make sure you bring some extra t-shirts.
Yep.
All white.
Yep.
Oh.
All the white things. I'm like, yeah, you want to look cool in all your shit, but I'm like, this is not good for you. I can handle the heat. Much like you, I worked outside for fucking years.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
you get cold hardy and you get heat hardy.
Yeah.
Your body acclimates to it.
And they're going to be exerting, a bunch of fucking energy, but oh yeah, you definitely get used to it. Well, cuz now I don't handle the heat as well as I used to, but
Sure.
shit, dude, I used to work,
Yeah.
I mean, right in the sun,
Oh yeah.
so been
Now
there.
you got a little cushy manager job over here.
Yeah.
Fucking handling business.
Yeah.
I get it. I respect it. We're sitting in my air conditioned office right now.
Don't judge my callous fingertips.
Tap, 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 tap. I thought it was just from jerking off.
Not the fingertips.
I mean, never know.
That's weird.
I'm not here to judge. You're milking cow.
Yeah, Gucci.
Anybody that's not watching the video is going to be so confused by these weird random fucking noises we're making. Sorry, Spotify listeners. Our 12s of Spotify listeners. Our sincerest apologies. So what did you have planned for the weekend? Because you've got like a little backyard oasis thing going on. So you're just chilling?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got some more shit to do. I'm still doing some landscaping and stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be so hot. I really want to go rent either a sod cutter or I've got this rototiller at home and like kind of start chopping up some of this ground, leveling it out, moving some shit around because I eventually want to put in, what the hell is it? It's like that natural stone. I can't remember the size of it, but it's that larger natural stone. I don't know if it's like the 1x3 or whatever.
Is it the shit I have on the sides of my driveway that I'm psychotic about?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's not a pea stone because that's just pea stone. It's just more like a decorative stone. We're going to put that like all around the pool and stuff.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. That'll look great.
Yeah. And I want to redo some shit. I want to like redo the deck. I put this deck in right when we first moved in.
Yeah.
Because basically off the back porch, we had what I called the pirate's plank. It was just this 4 foot wide by probably 6 foot long plank that looked like you were walking the plank.
Right,
I was like, what the hell? So like the second weekend we were there, I was all neurotic and I pulled it up and I was like, I'm going to put a deck in. Well, I'm not very good at building shit. I'm better now, but I'm still not very good at building shit.
Sure.
I didn't really fuck it up, but I put the deck boards on the wrong way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
If anybody knows what that means.
Yeah.
So I want to pull them all back up, put some extra bracing in there, run the deck boards the other way.
Yep.
And just redo. The framing itself, though, is great. Like, it hasn't moved at all. It's perfectly secured. It's not on level, any of that stuff. I just need to run the deck boards the other way. So I'm thinking about doing that soon. I got to stain the other deck.
We can do that next weekend for the holiday.
We could.
Look, I'm good with that. I love working. I love doing shit.
Yeah, I love doing shit too.
Masculine shit.
Yeah, for
we're doing
sure.
Man shit.
Yeah,
bitch.
we're doing man shit. We're sweating and we got drills. And fucking.
I'm making noise.
Yeah, hell
hammers.
Yeah.
Hammers.
Yeah. Everybody get out of the way. But yeah, that's.
I have a 16-foot deck board and I'm just turning around, just lambasting fucking kids. There's fucking smoking kids running around.
Right now,
I said steer clear, bitch.
Right now, all my fucking grass is burnt though, because it was like really, really hot, and now it rained a lot, so it's all kind of in the weird,
confused.
Yeah, like some of it's growing and others dead, and I'm like, it doesn't know what to do.
I've been watering my front yard.
Have you?
Because I seeded and I'm trying to work through getting out the weeds, and it's going to take me all summer to work on it. It's not going to be a one and done, but I'm like, I got to keep this shit from drying up and getting dormant. So I got to keep watering it. So I told Jessica, I'm like, listen, if you have time, I'd like you to use a sprinkler, kind of move it around, do the thing. She's like, oh, I'm like, if you can't do it, don't
do it. Yeah.
But I'm like, if you can, it would be helpful. If not, I'll try to figure it out when I get back on Sunday afternoon.
Think about it, turn it on. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. But on a side note, we've talked about having a pool probably since you've known me.
Mm-hmm.
And we bought the lot in our subdivision specifically for the area in which we would get the most sun in our backyard. Like there was a lot of thought that went into which lot we picked.
Sure.
Because we had like 30 lots we could pick from.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want this one. Because when I put a pool in, not if, when I put a pool in, that's what I want. So I've been looking at, we have quotes for in-ground pools, and I want a big fucking pool, like a 20 by 40. And I know
that is a big pool.
Here we are, you know, fucking true story, just a bunch of fucking middle-class white guy problems. But it's my problem, so I'm going to talk about it because it's my fucking podcast. So fuck you. If you don't like it, skip ahead. But we had quotes and they're like 120 grand.
Oh, yeah.
150 grand. I'm like, fuck me, man. So I talked to a couple other companies and, we could do gunite. We could do fucking fiberglass. We could do all these different things. And I'm like, okay, but the quotes are still hovering right around 6 figures. As we previously discussed, I'm a cheap motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would probably dig the fucking holes myself.
You could.
Maybe by hand and turn it into a fucking 365-day vlog. Who knows?
Could.
But in spite of all that, I found out they actually have what's called semi-in-ground pools.
Yes.
So it's like half in-ground, half above ground.
Yep.
And so I'm looking at those and I'm like, ooh, that's a little bit more cost effective.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of pushed that boulder down the hill. Jessica got behind it, and now that thing is fucking roaring down the mountain right now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not going to be something we'll do this year, but I want to get the planning, the understanding, like all of the amounts. Like we could probably do it for 40.
Ooh, that is much cheaper.
40 for like a 20 by 40.
Wow.
Like a big motherfucker. So I'm like, if we do that, and of course I'm going to upgrade to the best liner and I'm going to get the good pumps. Cause I mean, I want it to last.
Absolutely.
We're going to abuse it. I'm going to use the fucking piss out of it.
Yep.
So with all that being said, I was like, this is more in my wheelhouse. Like I can get behind that.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's a little bit more reasonable. So she's like, let's fucking do it. Let's do it. I'm like, oh, whoa. Calm down.
We need to research a little bit.
We need to research a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I want to see some in person. I want to go visit some pool stores, have some real good conversations here. Yep. I'm going to use ChatGPT and roll in with my fucking 25 questions. Be like, answer these. Mm-hmm. And then we can make our determination.
Are you able to get like some equipment, machinery and stuff into your backyard?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Perfect. It'll probably be, I always joked about because I hand dug the footings for my garage.
Okay.
So I hand dug my footings for a 24 by 24 garage. And I had to dig down to the footings in the basement to tie rebar into the existing footing and build the cage so that it was all tied in together.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, I dug all that by hand.
Fucking
squared all of it out, dug it all out.
You may as well dig the pool if you're going to do the half and half.
Well, I love it. Yeah, I fucking love shit like that. So masculine. Yeah. Fucking let's go.
Yeah. I dug the footings for that garage.
Goddamn right.
Yeah.
Tell everybody.
Absolutely.
And those footings haven't moved a fucking inch.
And they get a little deeper every year. Yeah. Next thing you know, they were 10 foot in the ground, you know, when you're.
No, I was out there with the tape measure. I had electrical tape on my shovel. So I knew if the shovel was straight vertical, I knew where my 42 inches was and I was good.
Absolutely.
Because that was a clusterfuck. But we got it done, right? So all things considered, I like doing shit like that. I like projects.
Yeah.
But Jessica's like, well, what about our basement? What about this? And what about you still haven't finished the fucking trim molding? And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
Pools are more enjoyable. I don't get any joy out of fucking doing shoe molding.
Christ almighty. Yeah, I don't care if the door has trim or not. Let's go get in the pool.
The door's everything's trimmed. It needs painting though. And it needs the things. And I'm like, okay, it's not a priority for me right now.
See?
But it's up. We're 80% of the way there.
Yeah, looks good.
What do you want from me? So, pool is potentially on the horizon. God, that's a lot of money.
It is.
It's a lot of money. And
kids are young, man. You're gonna get a lot of use out of that.
And that's what Josh
get over a decade out of that thing.
To do it.
Yeah,
because now is the time to do it.
Yep.
With the age the kids are, they're old enough. They know how to swim. Like
pool parties, friends over, all the shit.
We have open houses in the future. Like this is the time to get it done. But I'm also like, that's so much money. And the problem is we live in Michigan.
Yeah.
You know, you only get 4 months in a good year to use your pool.
Unless you get a heater, then you can open it a month early and close it a month later.
Yeah. So potentially 6 months.
Potentially 6 months.
So I'm not opposed to it. We're there, but that's kind of the decision we're deliberating on
Yeah.
as I get ready to buy another new car in April.
It's okay. It's just money, right?
I know.
What else are you working for?
I know. I don't know.
So you can do the shit.
Self-satisfaction.
Yeah.
Self-satisfaction seems right.
Fuck that.
Okay. Fuck that. Spend, baby, spend. Jessica's going to love to hear that.
This is all self-satisfaction.
Thank God she doesn't listen to this podcast, actually.
Yeah, you're going to have then I can come over to your house. We can go in the pool, just hang out.
We can send all the kids to your house. And then the adults can hang out at our house.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I got a camera in the backyard. We can keep an eye on everything.
I'm going to put outside like a fucking 100-inch television.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's
blow up somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's going to be like a full-on outdoor rated television.
That's what I mean. One of them big, have you seen them? Where they got like the tubes that you blow up and then the TV is in there. So you can put it wherever you want. It's like a mount for your TV. So you can just put it anywhere outside. It's got a little thing behind it. So the speakers reverberate out to you.
I'm here for it. Jessica's like, you just always want to watch TV. I'm like, hey man, I might as well enjoy my life.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be swimming in the pool.
Yeah. If I'm going to be in the pool, I want to have some Tigers fucking baseball on or something.
Fucking right. Absolutely.
Something.
Absolutely.
That's great shit.
So everything else is good?
Yeah. Everything else is going real good. Summertime in Michigan, baby.
Yeah.
Is it today summer solstice?
21st. Tomorrow. When it's going to be real feel of 105 degrees.
Yeah, 105 for a really long time.
Really
the
long
longest
time.
day of the year.
Yes, the longest day of the year is going to be the hottest day of the
Hell yeah,
year,
let's get some.
But I'm okay with it. I'm ready.
Yeah, let's get some.
Before we get into your points, because you actually came prepared today, unlike myself, who's just going to vomit a stream of consciousness and things that are rattling around in my fucking gray matter.
That's really all this is, too. I just wrote it down.
That's fine. I'm glad you wrote it down. I'm trying to remember it. I'm like, wait, did I do that for that deal? I need to get this done. Don't worry. I am crazy. But I ended up getting that 40-pound weight vest.
Yeah, how did it go?
It was fucking awesome.
Was it?
It was awesome.
It was a good day for it yesterday, too.
Dude, there's just something about being able to just go for a walk and knowing that you're doing like a little bit extra. As stupid as that sounds, and everything I've been reading about weight vests, it just helps tighten up your whole body because you're carrying so much additional weight.
For sure.
And they talk about that a lot in like the Army.
Or
any of the armed forces.
Sure.
You go to boot camp, and the reason these guys lose so much weight and build so much muscle is because they got rucksacks and they're fucking hiking 10 fucking miles with fucking 60 pounds on their back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, I'm here for it.
In no time at all.
Well, and the other reason I like it too is instead of having to go out and do 5, 6, 7 miles, I can go out and do 2 or 3 miles and probably get better cardio in because of the additional weight.
Yeah.
At least that's what I'm reading.
Well,
that's what people are saying.
You start getting into that elevation, climbing hills and shit like that, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I know any incline, like even doing the treadmill incline. I mean, you can really start feeling it in your core a lot, in the backs of your legs and shit. So imagine getting out in nature.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be awesome. So we got to get out to the hogbacks.
You're going to be yoked.
I don't know about yoked. I mean, look at this frame. There's not much here to work with, but
juiced up.
Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, would you ever take gear? I'm like, gear? What are you fucking talking about? They're like roids. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm 5'10", 145. I'm like, the last thing I need is imaginary lat syndrome, no neck, like, brr.
Yeah, I don't want to be yoked. I just want to be healthy.
There you go.
I want to be strong enough to do shit. You know what I mean? And not hurt when I do it.
Yeah. And I don't mind a little bit of soreness. That makes you understand that you did shit. But like, I don't want to be out for a week after working on your deck.
Hurting your back. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, I want to, like, cutting them trees and shit. Like, I was sore that day, but I woke up the next day and I felt fucking great. And I was awesome? Like, and I was fucking working for like 12 hours out there, moving wood, cutting wood, doing all this shit. And I'm like, that's why I do it.
Yep.
It's
fucking great, dude. I fucking love it. So Jessica's like, just exercising isn't enough. I'm like, no.
This is exercise.
I want my exercise to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And she kind of laughs. She's like, whatever, man. You're fucking crazy. I'm like, okay. I'm here for it. I'm like, you fucking married me.
Yeah.
You've been with me for 25 years. What the fuck do you want from me?
Yeah. You've always been extreme. Right now, it's just weighted vests.
Yeah.
That's
It
all.
is. It's all in all the time.
Yeah, that's
All
all.
it is with me.
Yeah.
I'm going hard in the paint no matter what I'm doing.
Taylor has ankle weights that she uses when she works out.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
The one thing that I did read though is most of the doctors were like, you should only do a maximum of 5 to 10% of your body weight. I'm like, what?
Why?
I'm like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to do 40 pounds and
Yeah.
just see. And maybe if I go out for a hike at the Hogbacks with all the elevation and shit, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Or my back is feeling a little tight.
Yeah, you
Maybe
just
I'll back off
have
it,
to
but
make sure you keep your posture up and it
Yep.
doesn't make you slouch. I guess that would be the only thing that I would think.
Yep.
But I think that's the reason you're doing it, right?
Right.
Strengthen the back muscles up, all that shit.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's fucking crazy. All right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't have any rants or anything.
That's crazy.
just-
You had a great week.
I don't know about a great, it's just been so
Congratulations.
busy. I'm not going to rant and rave about, work stuff because that's, personal and private. And I'm not going
Yeah.
to air people's ignorant bullshit that they do, which I do have plenty of stories about, but that's not what we're here for.
Listen, I got a fucking fun fact for you.
I love Mikey B's fun facts. They're always bangers.
Listen to this. People born blind naturally
Okay.
express core emotions like happiness, fear, and anger using identical facial muscle movements as sighted people, indicating that the expressions are biologically innate and not learned through seeing others. So that was kind of crazy to me.
That's interesting to think about.
That even blind people, when they're happy, they smile.
Yep.
And when they're sad, they still make those facial
Scowl.
emotions. Yeah.
Yep.
So those are formed in your brain as an expression in your face, even though you can't see it.
That is really fucking interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was super cool. I was like,
I've
"Man,
never
that's
thought
weird."
about it.
Me neither. But at first thought, I was like, yeah, I guess I would think that would be a learned expression.
Right.
Smiling when you're happy and frowning when you're sad or laughing or whatever.
Right.
Like, I guess now that,
It would,
never
you would
seen
think
a-
it'd be like mimicry,
yeah,
but
like,
it's not.
no. And like, I guess I don't know any blind people, but when they laugh, would they have the same exact facial expression for everything, whether they were happy or sad or
Right.
laughing or
Right.
like
How do you laugh while keeping a straight face?
yeah, right. Like, you got to be happy.
What a great challenge. That's fucking crazy. But I mean, it makes a ton of sense because
Yeah.
even with young babies, there's nothing better than you have a 6-month-old and you tickle them,
Yeah.
and they're kind of learning how to laugh and taking weird breaths and stuff.
Yeah.
But you see those same facial expressions.
Yeah, the smiling with their eyes kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like a squinty eye thing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting. I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
Me neither. I thought that was super cool.
So it's so wild to think about not having one of your senses.
Oh man, I
Right?
know.
Largely we're very healthy individuals
Yeah.
doing whatever it is that we do. But see, touch,
Smell.
just all of them. Hearing, the whole thing is just wild to me.
Yeah. I can't. Being deaf or being blind would be. Man, it would just be hard. It would be. They equally have just ask yourself, would you rather be deaf or blind? Is kind of the question that was going into my head, and I'm like,
Sure.
I don't know that you could even pick one, and not like rather, but
Sure.
what are the differences in it? And it's like, you imagine like talking to your kids, you'd be able to hear them but not see them, or would you rather be able to see them and not hear them? Because you could always do sign language,
Sure.
to speak, but
Yep.
you wouldn't hear their voice, you wouldn't hear the cars driving by on the road, you wouldn't.
That would be absolutely wild.
Yeah, it would suck to have it and then lose it rather than be born
because
with the
if you're born
deformity.
with it,
Then you wouldn't even know what you're missing.
well, and
You'd
it's the
just be
same
wondering.
thing. So I'm sure that you and Kelly heard it when you guys found out you were having twins. Oh my God, what are you guys gonna do?
Yeah.
What do you mean? And then they're like, well, 2 at the same time? I'm like, I'm not abandoning my children, if that's what you're asking.
Right.
So the answer is we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, we're
We
gonna raise 2 at the same time.
Right. That's not really a question. And so if you think about that in terms of like somebody being blind or deaf,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you were to ask them, "Oh my god, what are you
What
going
are
to
you gonna do?
you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, you're gonna figure
You're
it
going to
out.
learn sign language. You're going to learn to navigate your domicile being blind." I mean,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Yeah.
You're going to figure shit out because you don't have an alternative, which is the crazy part to me. You
Yeah,
know,
that's the craziest part is like, well, this is happening because
right.
I've known people in my life who get these, uh, degenerative eye diseases
Yeah,
or
my
whatever,
mom has had
that,
eye surgery the last 2 weeks on both of her eyes.
yeah,
Individual procedures, I think for like macular degeneration.
yeah, yep, and that's something that happens in
Yeah,
like women her age, and I'm
yep,
like, man, that's some crazy shit,
for
you
sure,
know?
for sure. It's interesting how the human body is so capable. And we talked about that on last week's episode.
Yeah,
About, you get cut and your body sends the white blood cells and it scabs over and you stop bleeding and scabs up, and then before you know it, couple of weeks, boom, got a
yeah,
little fucking scar there and you're good to go.
yep, some new skin, baby.
It's crazy.
It is
It's
crazy.
crazy. But to lose one of those primary 5 senses that we have
Mhm.
at our age, wow, what an adjustment that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, the alternative is, what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
Just fucking kill myself? No, I'm not gonna do
well,
that. I'm gonna
humans
figure
are
it out.
so adaptable.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can absolutely figure it out. Not to say it's not gonna suck
Yeah.
for a while, but
Yep.
you're eventually gonna figure it out. And modern technology has helped out with a lot of
Oh,
things.
yeah.
So it'd be probably better than it ever has, if you have to go through something like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
But yeah, I thought that was a wild, crazy fun fact.
That was a good one because
Yeah.
I've never thought about it in that context. So to know that, like, facial expressions are just a portion of our physiology
Yeah,
is pretty fucking
you're kind
crazy.
of born with it,
Yep.
you know?
And it's not learned. I think that's the craziest part. It's not a learned or mimicked behavior.
Mhm.
It is innate to our human experience. And
Yeah.
that's super cool to think about.
I know, that is
That's
cool.
really interesting. That was a good one.
That was a good
Mikey
one.
B's fun facts. Here we go.
Yes, back again.
Well done.
So another cool thing that's been going on is I've seen a couple announcements from some stores that are starting to get rid of these food dyes and some things like that. So Sam's Club was actually one of them. Said they're cutting 40 plus ingredients from their Members Mark brand. So I started looking into it a little bit, and some of the main ingredients that they had on there were aspartame, high fructose corn syrup, artificial dyes, sodium benzenate, and BHT were like their main
Yeah.
ones that they put on there. So
What about glyphosate?
I didn't look into the 40 plus, and that might be on there. I don't know.
I hope it is. That shit's terrible.
So do you know what this? I'm sorry, it's not benzenate. It's benzoate, sodium benzoate. And
Okay.
do you know what that is?
I do not.
I don't know either. So I looked it up. It's a preservative in an acidic environment, which is a pH below 7.
Yep.
Generally recognized as safe by the FDA when used in small amounts, which is 0.01% by weight
Okay.
in your food. So
So is it like a
it's a
preservative?
preservative.
Okay.
It's a preservative just to keep fats from going bad or spoiling,
Or separating.
Yep, or separating, exactly.
Okay.
So this is the weird thing though. When combined with vitamin C in certain conditions like heat or light, it can produce benzene, which is a known carcinogen. Some people report mild allergic reactions and hyperactivity in children, but evidence is limited. So um, it's a preservative. There are natural preservatives, which is like vitamin C, vitamin E,
Yeah.
and what the hell is the other one? Rosemary.
Okay.
Rosemary extract is
Oh, no
another
shit.
natural. Yeah. So I didn't do a deep dive or anything into it to look see like production of it, and all that shit. But there are some natural preservatives that you
Sure.
could use. I think the thing is that they just make so much food that they want to preserve it for as long as possible.
Well, it's all about shelf life.
Yeah, which is also kind of shitty. Like, why can't we just we have the modern technology? We can just make fresher food and do more on-demand deliveries. A lot of these places do the on-demand deliveries anyway. The fuck's that guy's name? The guy from Toyota that started the whole manufacturing like supply on demand. Like
Okay.
they didn't want to have an
Yeah, I've heard about
overstock
that. Yep.
of like all the nuts and bolts and shit. So
Right.
the system is basically like one of them Kanban boards,
Yeah.
basically, where they would just show up with 100 fasteners. This guy would you be using his 100 fasteners, but he would pass a card to that guy too to say, yeah, I'm going to need another 100 at 3 o'clock or whatever. So, but it's a whole system of people that are just doing on demand delivery. So by the time you get done, you've only got one or two left during the day,
Sure.
at the end of your shift.
Sure.
They could absolutely do that,
Sure.
with grocery stores and shit like that. I mean, just constantly bring in you just have to change the industry a little
Yeah.
bit and you could still keep it. It would just be different.
Well, and you look at all the things that are continuing to add to this, and it all stems either from cost
Yeah.
because they don't want spoilage, right? Because
Right. Lost.
they want to send out millions and millions of units every month,
Right.
but maybe they're only moving 500,000. So that 500,000 needs to be able to sit on the shelf or go here or go there, wherever without spoiling.
Right.
But if you look at if you look at Americans specifically, if you look at the United States of America and the obesity epidemic, it's
Yeah.
absolutely a fucking thing.
And
And I feel like a lot of it is so much in part of the synthetic ingredients that is in our food.
it absolutely is. Well,
Fucking terrible.
the other one, BHT, that slows the breakdowns of fats and oils when exposed to oxygen, heat, or light, preserving flavor, texture, and safety. The
Everything's about safety.
FDA approved it in the USA in limited amounts, but Europe is more restricted. Some European countries have actually banned it altogether.
I like that.
Listen to this. High doses in animal studies has been linked to liver, kidney, and lung issues and possible cancer risks. May cause allergic reactions or behavioral issues in sensitive individuals, especially children. BHT was actually the one that all of that shit wasn't really hidden at all. That was like on the front page of it. So that one I feel like is probably a big deal. And that's actually in a lot of fucking shit. That's in like a lot of cereals and oats, plastics, like all kinds of shit. And all of that shit is literally just a byproduct of other shit that they make and they don't have anything else to do with it. So like 0.01% by weight, that is such a fucking minuscule amount that what's to say that they don't overweigh that at a lot of random points. And that's why not everybody, that's why people end up getting sick, or that's why there's bad batches of food, or that's, and it's like, if you can only put that small amount in there before it makes people sick,
Right.
don't put it in there. Find
Seems like
another
common sense.
yeah, find another place to put it. I'm
Right.
sorry you can't dump it in the East fucking River anymore, but find a place to put it. You fucking ingrates, like
You pieces of shit.
yes, figure it out. What was the other? Oh, aspartame. We all know what that is, but it's synthetic sugar basically. But it says the very first thing, and this is all of this was like the very first thing
Sure.
that I read. I don't want to dig too deep and get a bunch of conspiracy shit. I just want to see what the internet would tell you if you looked it up.
Yeah.
This says it's composed of 2 amino acids, aspartic acid, and don't judge my syllables here, but it's phenylene. Anyway, both which occur naturally in foods is what they say. It's approved by the FDA. Many studies show it's safe, but some people have reported side effects like a headache or dizziness and frequent debate about its long-term side effects.
No shit.
Yep.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Well, I'm glad that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in the position that he's in.
Me too.
And he's largely, I think what I like about it the most with the position that he's in is that he's so far outside of the day-to-day political spectrum.
Yeah.
He is singularly focused on making America healthy again.
That's it. And that's the best part.
And I don't think there is any American in our country that thinks that's a bad idea. And if you do, then we have serious fucking problems.
Yeah.
Or conversely, let me just play devil's advocate here. Then we need to start marking things like how they do cigarettes in like Canada, where they show like the black lungs on like the cigarette packs.
Yeah.
Like, listen, if you want to eat your fucking Lucky Charms with all the synthetic chemicals, that's fine. Here's what you're risking by eating this.
Oh yeah, and make them put that shit right on the box.
Like, hey, eating this could lead to increased chances of cancer,
Yeah.
could lead to digestive issues, could lead to behavioral issues.
Yeah, and
then you don't have to worry about it. And then you let the free market kind of roll and say, hey, we don't want those fucking stickers on our fucking
Right.
boxes. We're going to go ahead and make sure this is as pure and as close to a whole food as we can fucking get it.
Yeah, and they won't put heart healthy on Cheerios,
Right.
and shit like that because what's to lower your cholesterol? This has got, So going back to the Maha movement here, he's actually working on getting pharmaceutical ads, direct to consumer pharmaceutical ads off TV.
That would be
Also,
amazing.
It's especially in our age group and our demographic
Yep.
of the channels that we watch. It's like every commercial break is something I either have to worry about my dick not working soon, or my blood pressure too high, or
I'm going to be shitting out every orifice I have.
Yeah. And all the side effects are like vomiting and diarrhea simultaneously.
We were watching something on Paramount Plus last night, as a matter of fact. So all 6 of us, it was right before bed. We were just watching a fucking show. And I was just hyper aware of what everybody was doing.
Yeah.
Again, it's my fucking, stigmas. Just let me have them.
Just my sobriety, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel it.
Really sober today.
Yeah, I feel it.
But it was like 3 separate commercial breaks were 3 separate fucking prescription pharmaceutical commercials. All 4 kids were singing the jingle. There was like a fucking jingle with all of them, and they were all singing it. And I'm thinking to myself,
It's the fucking propaganda machine.
I'm like, this is fucking crazy. They're singing one about Wegovy, and there's another one about some fucking, I don't even know what, but I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad, but they're, because Jace is always singing fucking Burger King commercials or Arby's commercials.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Their little earworms are catchy jingles. That's what they're supposed to be.
Yep.
But I'm like, for pharmaceuticals? Like, is this what my kids going to remember sitting around singing Wegovy jingles when they're fucking 10 years old? Like, what are you doing?
That one about their A1C.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes, where they're dancing and shit.
And the other day, they were like, what's A1C? I'm like, it's not honestly anything you need to worry about right now. I'm like, this is so crazy. You guys are not diabetic. Like, we're good.
I promise.
And it's just the same thing. And then low key underneath the jingle, they're like, this may cause, long lasting side effects. You may start beating your wife. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Please contact your doctor if you get yellowing of the skin. Like, why did trying to lower my A1C not get jaundice? The fuck's wrong with my liver?
Well, and the other day, Jace asked, after listening to one of those commercials, he's like, what's suicidal ideations? I'm like, I'm like, no, buddy. He's like,
fuck.
If I take ibuprofen, am I going to have suicidal ideations? I'm like, no. I'm like, we're good. Like, calm down. Everything's fine.
It's fine.
But I'm like, the kids are sponges.
Yeah.
And so they pick up on all that shit. And I'm like, it's amazing to hear that, because I would love for that shit to just go by the wayside.
Yeah.
Go by the wayside.
Me too. Like, there was, oh my God, funny commercials. We were on, we got a Roku TV.
Yeah.
And there's always like little things on there, and they're usually not very funny. But it's like this new lineup for 2025 TVs or whatever.
Yeah.
And the commercial little snippet, the thumbnail kind of grabbed my attention. So I clicked on it, and it is 30 seconds of one of the funniest fucking commercials I've ever seen, dude. I even told Kelly, I'm like, you have got to come watch this. I'm like, this is how commercials used to be all the time. And it reminded me of like the Bud Light, what the commercial. It's a husband and wife, and he's sitting at the computer, and he's like, and he's yelling, and she's standing right next to him and like standing up looking at him, and he's yelling, and he's like, I'm trying to find a new TV, and he's like, but I don't know what to do. He's like, do I want HDR, high def, LCD? And he names off all these, and she starts yelling, and she's like, I don't know, it's so confusing, it shouldn't be this confusing, and everything's like super fucking chaotic. And he's like, and he like stands up, and she's like, let me try. So she gets on, and he's like tapping away, and he goes, this should be easier than it is. And she's like, and he says something about this is as great. This is so great. It's just like our marriage. Oh, she's looking up a Roku TV, and she goes, this is so easy. And he goes, just like our marriage. And she goes, every day with you is a gift. And then all of a sudden it super snaps and they're carrying a Roku TV in together. Dude, it's 30 seconds of pure chaos, but it's
Yes.
all fun, funny, like husband and wife buying a TV. And like, I loved every minute of it.
That's amazing.
And I want to see more of those
Yeah.
instead of pharmaceutical commercials.
Yes.
Because like the marketing used to be so
Engaging.
good. Yeah, it used to be like
Yeah.
so good.
Yep.
Because a lot of these are products that you already know, you already
Yep.
use, you already buy them.
Yep.
You're not trying to get us to buy them. You just are trying to put out some quality media
Yep.
content, you
Yep.
know? And with the day and age of like the Instagram and the TikTok and like all these different companies putting out content,
Yeah.
like put some of that shit on TV. Like
Yep.
that's the good stuff that we want to see, you know?
Yes.
And not this.
Well, it's like a great example of that is like Dollar Shave Club.
Yes.
So like,
yes.
I never actually signed up for any of their subscriptions, but I ended up buying like one of their packs because I saw it at the store after they got into retail.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to try one just for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just a fucking razor. It wasn't anything fucking special.
Right.
But their marketing was so on point and so good that I spent the fucking $10 and bought some razors. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'll just go back to Gillette because that's what I've been using my entire life. You know, it was comfortable.
But this was a good
But
experience.
They still got a purchase out of me because of how good their marketing was.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's just good shit. That was entertaining and it's engaging and it makes it feel like you can connect with the brand a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, that's what I like.
That's the same thing with the Dr. Squatch. You ever seen their commercials?
Oh, yeah.
I think their commercials are hilarious.
Yep.
And some of them were like long drawn out skits that are like 6-7 minutes long. They're always really funny.
Yes. So one of my clients, one of my buddies sent me over the I think it's on Instagram, but they have this whole series about this guy being a Sasquatch and they're using AI to overlay it on top of his body. Have you seen any of those skits? Dude, they are so fucking funny.
It's on like the Dr. Squatch Instagram or whatever.
No, it's not Dr. Squatch. It's just some guy acting like a Sasquatch.
Oh my God.
And then they go and they like meet up with the abominable snowman.
What?
And then they go out and they meet up with a Yeti. And it's just super funny, crazy, quick skits.
I love
I'll
that.
send you the link.
Yeah,
They're
you need
fucking hilarious. And he's like, dude, you're going to watch one and you're going down the rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
And I 100% did.
Worth it?
Yes. I was laughing my fucking tits off.
I'm going to do it.
You know, it's like 50 or 60 videos, you know, 30 seconds a pop.
Oh, perfect.
But I just fucking, bink. I started right at the very beginning. And I'm like, start here. Swipe, 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 and I fucking died. It was hilarious.
That's like the dopamine casino, baby. Yeah. Just
all day, every day. So speaking of that, shout out to Light Phone, thinking about getting one.
Okay.
So it's a phone and it has a camera, but you can only send and receive text messages. There's no internet access. There's no browser on there. There's 0 social media apps that are available on the phone. So you can get your email, you can send and receive text messages, send and receive phone calls, and it has like GPS and then like an internal music player if you wanted to upload music or whatever to it.
Really?
And I'm thinking about getting one of those again, because we've talked about screen time for consecutive episodes in a row, but it's like, dude, there's just so much fucking bullshit out there. And I'm so distracted all the time that I'm on my phone. So it would just be nice to just have something that just treats it as a functional device, not something that's going to suck me in for hours on end.
Right. So would you, man?
I mean, I still create a lot of content.
I mean, you could still have your phone, but it would just be probably on Wi-Fi.
Yes. Yep. My actual service would remain on the quote unquote light phone.
Right.
And it's like $300.
Well, as it should be, because it doesn't have a ton of features.
Absolutely. And I'm like,
is it a flip phone?
No.
No?
No, it's
so it's like a
slab
screen,
phone.
So you could send text messages.
Yep.
Okay.
It's fucking sweet.
Man.
It is really cool. And again, because we talked about like taking social media apps off our phone and whatnot. I
can't do it.
I physically can, but I mentally cannot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm now trained. I've trained myself to do certain things, whether I'm sitting on the toilet, whether I'm sitting on the couch after the kids go to bed.
What are you going to do when you sit on the toilet with the light phone?
I'm going to read an analog book. I'm going to like actually flip pages. I do. I love to read.
Me
And so it
too.
would force me to
Mhm.
read, and it would put me in a better headspace. I'm sure of that.
Well, they say there's some poor old soul without a cell phone sitting on a mountain somewhere that doesn't even know he's supposed to be upset.
Yep. That's right. Well said.
You know?
Well said. So I'm thinking about doing that. I got to talk to Jessica about it, but I'm also thinking that for the boys, as they continue to push for a phone,
You know?
okay, here's your phone. This is what you can have,
You know?
because again, there's going to be a point in time where they need to be able to communicate with us. Things happen. I'm running behind. I can't pick them up from school, what have you.
Sure.
I want to be able to get a hold of them, but I'm like, they don't need Snapchat. They don't need TikTok. They don't need Instagram. They don't need any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be randomly setting up accounts on social media for my kids. If they want to do that when they turn 18, so be it. But up until then, sorry, kid, you're on your own. Enjoy your fucking phone where you can send and receive calls and text messages.
I
And
can't.
that's it.
I can't wait until you start getting them phones.
It's going to be
so-
fucking wild.
It's
It's going to be fucking wild, bro.
They always want more, is why I'm smiling.
Yes.
Like, well, I want a phone. So you get them a phone. And then after a year, it's, well, I want an iPhone.
I don't care.
To get them an iPhone. And then, well, I want, what was that? They started asking me about Snapchat, and I drew the line. I said, absolutely not. And they were so pissed. And there isn't a little bit of me that gave a shit at all.
Nope.
I slept perfectly fine. I ate ice cream with chocolate on top, and I smiled the rest of the night, and I didn't give a shit. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, you're fucking 12. I'm like, no.
We were arguing
don't
about
need it.
something, and so Aiden's 12 years old.
Mm.
So he's getting a little mouthier. And it's funny because I
Yeah.
don't really mind it, I'm going to give you some shit. You can give me some shit back. We're
Yeah.
good with that. As long as we're not crossing that like invisible line of respect.
Sure.
We can still jaw with each other a little bit. But we were talking about something, and it was probably something to do with electronics or access to something. And he goes, I don't know how you sleep at night. And I said, well, typically on my back with my dick in my hand. And Jessica goes, John! And I'm like, well,
what?
it is what it is.
Yeah.
He asked. I told him, don't ask questions you don't want the fucking real answer to. I told you from the very start before we even had kids, I will never lie to my fucking children.
Right.
Like I said, because I believe that, if you tell me, you're 14 years old and you're pregnant, we have to figure it out. Don't fucking lie to me about it.
Right.
If you're 15 years old and you got into an accident because you were drunk driving, we have to figure it out. Don't try to hide shit.
Yeah.
There's
figure it out. I
consequences to
gotta
your
know.
actions. We need to know. So there's a very clear path of communication between the two of us.
Yep.
But if you're not going to take that path, there will be even more severe consequences for lying to me.
For sure.
Don't fucking lie. I said, lying is the lowest form of humanity as far as I'm concerned.
So I'm not gonna lie either.
Don't lie to me. Don't fucking lie to me. You can tell me the truth. I can handle it. I'm a
About
big
anything.
boy. Got my big boy panties on today.
Oh,
All right. What do you got next?
Nothing. No,
Nothing?
I'm just kidding. I got some stuff.
Let's go. Come on, man. We're only 48 minutes in. This is light work so far.
So listen, I read this thing the other day. Actually, yeah, yesterday. That says every time you
On your
level
phone,
up,
on the toilet.
maybe. I can't.
I'm not judging.
I can't say definitively yes or no. It's definitely possible. But it says every time you level up, you lose something. A habit, a friendship, or a version of yourself. But it's not loss. That's proof that you're evolving. And I thought that was pretty cool because you do lose something, but it's not actually like a loss.
Yep.
You're just kind of replacing that with a better version of yourself. And I've noticed that a lot, like in my interactions and stuff, like out in public, and like the way I conversate with people. And like we were down last weekend, I think. We ended up going downtown to get a bite to eat. Kelly's family came in town. We went out to Wood Chips, actually.
Nice.
And they had bike night going on down there. So we were waiting for our table, and we were out walking around. And I ended up seeing this guy who had this really fucking sweet, like European looking bike. And it was very unique. So I'm sitting looking at it, and he comes walking over. His name was Walt. And we started, bantering back and forth talking. And I'm like, what is this thing? And I forget the name of it, but it's a 1936 European motorcycle.
No shit.
Yeah. So, never been restored. all original, beautiful. There's not a fucking speck on this thing. His dad bought it brand new over in San Marinos,
Okay.
which is it's an independent European country who him and his entire family are all residents of. But they
No shit.
but they live here in Michigan. And he said his kids will be residents of it until they get married. And then if they
No
want
shit.
to, they can, redo the residency. But they've all had dual citizenship their entire lives
Really?
because of their parents. Yeah. And he actually had a picture of his parents on this bike. His dad was driving the bike, his mom was on the back, and she had her legs up on these like pegs of him driving the bike. He said it was his regular means of transportation over
No
in Europe.
shit.
Yeah, back in the 30s. So it actually had like the valves and the push rods were on the very front of the engine. They were on like these weird coil springs that had a fork
No
and came
shit.
in. Yeah, it was awesome. Like I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is from the 30, like it's from the 30s. And it was a 250cc and he said it would do about 60 miles an hour. His dad, when he got older, didn't want to drive it. He wanted to like show it in museums and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, my dad's passed away now. And he's like, my kids are getting a little older. And he's like, they're all gone. He's like, so I told my wife I was going to start showing the bike. And he's like, so I started driving it to these different bike meets around Michigan. I'm like, you don't bring it. I'm like, you don't trailer it? He's like, nope. He's like, I drive it. And he goes like, it's all original
Wow.
as he bought it.
That's and something like that's fucking priceless.
That's what I said. And he goes, it doesn't belong in a museum. He goes, it belongs out here so that people
Yep.
like you come up and go, what the hell is this thing?
That
And
is
he's like,
badass.
yeah. And he's like, I talked to so many people, because they come up and they see it and they're like,
Yep.
this thing is so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, we sat there talking for probably 30 minutes.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's badass to see shit like that. But to go back to the point that you made, we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to the universe to be the absolute best versions of ourselves.
I couldn't agree more.
Because somebody who I will not name was kind of being inquisitive with me. They're like, you've really changed, the way you're eating, focusing on your health, being more active. They're like, why? And I'm like, well, there's very topical, selfish reasons. But I said, my upbringing isn't the right word. Where I was born, the time period in which I was born a white male to a middle class family.
Mm-hmm.
I've had plenty of opportunities. I've been very fortunate to have owned and operated multiple businesses, had successes, had failures, the whole thing. I said, but at the end of the day, I said, I have a debt owed that I can never repay. So to take what I've been given for granted and not be the best version of myself would literally be scoffing in the face of the universe. And I feel like I owe it not only to myself, but to my existence in the world in
Yeah.
which I'm in to be the absolute best version of myself. And I have so many fucking things I could improve on. Like London would say, stop swearing so much.
Yeah.
No, fuck you.
Right. Yeah.
But,
And that's
but it's like, I really feel like it's my duty and it's a weird fucking calling and it's kind of hard to put into words. I'm kind of stumbling over my shit here, but I really feel like there's a debt owed to this ethereal aspect of my existence to be the absolute best version of myself, physically, mentally, socially, all of those things.
Well, it's because you're right. You've almost been given a second chance because at some point you
Right.
realize that you were fucking up,
Right.
and
Right.
it's like kind of an epiphany stage, but not everybody comes out of that.
Right.
Or they didn't get quite as deep as maybe you did, and they're just going to live on the edge and you're
Right.
never going to reach your potential.
Right.
Regardless whether you're a
Right.
stone cold alcoholic or
Sure.
you're never going to reach your full
Right.
potential. But you won't ever realize that unless you try it the other way. And there's so much social stigma that it's really hard because it really does change your whole life.
Right.
Changes your relationships. It changes. You got to kind of recreate who you even are.
Right.
That was my biggest thing. I was like, what do I even really fucking like anymore?
Right.
I was like, what do I do when I'm not just fucking hanging around drinking beer? Like, do I like
Because that
throwing the
turns into
football
your
or
identity.
it's like, do I want to fuck now when I do stuff, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to go grab the Frisbee or I'm going to go, I'm going to go do something.
Right.
I'm not just gonna sit here anymore. You know,
Right.
and I'm still kind of doing that, like trying to just figure it all out. Like, okay, you
Right.
know,
Well, and I was listening to Tony Robbins was on All In
mm,
and had an interview of sorts, and they Tony was making a statement about something. And I love listening to Tony Robbins.
yeah,
Great energy, very, very intelligent. But he said, the two greatest days of your life is the first day that you're born
mm,
and the second day when you fully understand your purpose and why you're here. And I mean, not everybody has some weird, crazy calling to lead, a country or do
sure,
whatever. My purpose could be very internal to myself.
yeah,
And maybe my purpose is just being the best version of myself.
yeah, it absolutely could be.
Well, in knowing how tenuous life can be, you never know if you're going to get killed by a cement truck, if you're going to drop out of a heart attack, you're going to have a fucking brain aneurysm, you're going to get cancer and have 6 months to live. So for me, you have to live in the present.
Mm,
Don't live in the past. Don't be too focused on the future. There's nothing wrong with having goals and objectives, but be fucking present.
yeah,
And that's
right.
another reason I want to get rid of my fucking phone. And I want to have that so I can be more present and more
Mm,
available. And so my kids don't have to come up and be like, hey, dad. And I look up from my phone. They should walk into the room and then I recognize them. And then they come
yeah,
sit with me or they want to chat or do whatever.
right.
And it's hard. It's
I know,
hard
I know.
because I'm going to be the weirdo. I'm going to be the weirdo with a phone where,
Yeah, yep,
you can send me, links to Instagram or what have yous. I'm not going to fucking see them though.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's probably a good thing.
So TikTok, you can't. I don't know when this happened. It was a while ago. If you send a link and you don't have TikTok, you can't even go to the website and watch the video anymore.
Right.
So I deleted TikTok just so that I can't even watch the videos anymore. And it'd be cool if all of them would do that. You
Yep.
know, like they want you to have the app because then it would be easier just to get rid of the app.
Right. Right.
But if you believe in going back to what you were just talking about, if you believe in like karma or reincarnation or spirituality or any of that, there's a theory that every time you're reincarnated and you're brought back, it's to resolve your karma that you
Hmm.
had either in
Interesting.
past
Okay.
lives or something like that. Maybe you haven't quite figured it all out yet.
Right.
So this life is to figure out
Right.
whatever you were supposed to be figuring out. And if you don't figure it out here, you'll come back again and you'll do it again. But there's always lessons to be learned. And I thought about that. I'm not a big spiritual guy, so don't take that that way. But if you think about it in perspective of your own life, it's like, well, yeah, there is always something to be learned, whether it's
Always.
with an interaction, with somebody else or, interactions that we have.
Right.
There's the burnt toast theory. Have you ever heard of the burnt toast theory?
Tell me about it.
Where if you wake up in the morning, you're making your coffee, you're making your toast, you burn your
Right.
toast, you throw it away, you put some new toast in. The theory is that you probably had that problem for a reason. Maybe
Yep.
you're supposed to hang out there for another 30 seconds. Maybe,
Yep.
is it going to be a car accident or, whatever. It's kind of goes with that. There's always a lesson to be learned. You just
Right.
have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention to things that are going on around you. And maybe it's not going to be, a fucking cardinal landing on your shoulder,
Sure.
but it's,
It's not going to be something you'd see in the movies.
yeah. And it's like, it's all perspective. It's kind of,
Mhm.
it's all perspective to your life and how you want to perceive these things,
Which is amazing. I haven't heard the burnt toast theory before,
Mm.
but it sounds like it's just like the Ashton Kutcher film Butterfly Effect.
Yeah. 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 Yep. Very, very
Kind of
similar. Yep.
that same concept of sorts.
Just
Well,
really
Jessica and I got into a super bad accident December 12th, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not you believe in the multiverse, what have you,
Yeah.
I truly believe that my universe split. And that in what I would consider my original OG universe,
Mm-hmm.
I died. Because Jessica and I, we were driving down, and again, sorry to our listeners that are out of the area, you're not going to have any frame of reference here, but we were driving by DeBuck Sod Farm
Okay.
on Lippincott
Mm-hmm.
in the winter. It was the coldest day of the year so far. It was like negative wind chill, single digits, negative wind chill. We were in my old Impala. We were driving. I hit a slick patch. I thought I was steering into it. When you live in Michigan, you just kind of innately know how to get out of swerving around
Sure.
on ice and shit. thought I had the wheel straight. I did not. Had the wheel turned 1 revolution to the right.
Ooh.
I was still going forward. We caught a dry patch of the road, put us into one of the drainage ditches,
Oh.
went in nose first. The car flipped over. We broke through the ice and it filled with water.
Holy shit.
Yes. Yeah. And we were on our way to my grandparents' house to give them the deposit check for our honeymoon. So we were just engaged at that point.
Yeah.
And it was a Sunday morning at like 11 a.m.
Jesus.
I knew we were going in.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I had the wherewithal to undo my seatbelt. And so I kind of tumbled
Yeah.
around, and then I ended up in the back seat, and I was able to get my head into an air pocket because the entire front half of the car was at an angle where it was fully submerged.
Holy shit.
Jessica did not. She was still in her seatbelt, and she ended up finally getting her seatbelt done and I had to kind of pull her back there. She was able to get between the headrest and the roof
Mm-hmm.
into the back seat. And then both doors had ice tied up against them.
Oh, fuck.
So I couldn't break the window. I tried like a motherfucker, bruised the shit out of my elbow, but ended up, got the door cracked open, and then I was able to kick it open.
Yeah.
We climbed up. We ended up climbing up on the opposite side of the ditch, and we were stuck in the field.
Jesus.
So randomly, this fucking dude on a Sunday morning at like 10:30, 11 a.m. was just driving down Lippincott and saw us climbing out of the ditch and went down to one of the service drives, which was, I don't know, 1/8 of a mile down, and got out and was like, come on, come sit in my truck, called an ambulance and shit.
Holy shit.
We made it out without any physical issue. Yeah, I mean, no physical issues. But like, and that's whether or not you believe in the multiverse, whether or not it's a real thing, we don't know.
Right.
But for all intents and purposes, I should be dead. We should both be dead.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like that I really resonate with that burnt toast theory, butterfly effect, because I look at it from the perspective that every decision I ever made in my entire life, cumulatively, to the age of, I would have been 23, 24, 24 years worth of decisions put me in that position.
That exact spot.
With that happening. I can still remember the song we were listening to. I remember the CD, all of it.
I bet.
I mean, it's like I'm reliving it right now.
Yeah.
And it's just bonkers. But when you think about that, it's like, holy fuck, dude. That's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, and that's whether you believe in if there's spirituality, if there's predestination, if there's this, if there's that, if the universe is guiding you along a path of sorts. Every decision you make has an impact.
Regardless.
Yes.
I've really, really been living by that the last couple of years. Intentional choices. Every action has a reaction or a consequence, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
Something happens due to whatever you say or do.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Absolutely crazy to think
and
about.
Depending on the situation, it could reverberate, down. It's crazy when you think about it.
And you just don't know.
No.
And it could be one single thing. Think about people that they're at the bar, they're drinking, they're doing this, they're doing that. And they've done it hundreds of times prior. I'm fine. I drink a glass of water. It's been 90 minutes since my last drink. I'm going to head home. In that one singular decision, they kill themselves, they kill somebody else, they get into an accident, they end up going to jail. I mean, it could be anything.
Yeah.
So like, I guess I'm not necessarily quote unquote afraid of making decisions, but they do have consequences.
Yeah.
They do have real life. I don't know how to really put it into words, but like you need to be intentional.
Yeah.
With what you're doing.
And I know exactly what you're saying, because it's like a real feeling.
Yeah.
And
it's weird. It's a weird feeling, but it's absolutely there. I mean, think about the foods that you eat. Oh, I'll just have I'll have an extra handful of M&Ms today. I'll do this, I'll do that. All that shit builds and compounds. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, why am I so fucking out of shape? Why can't I do this?
Why have I eaten an entire family pack of M&Ms this week? Damn it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think about just how those things decisions build upon one another. They
For
just
sure.
build and
And
build
you
and
know
build.
what? Good decisions compound and negative decisions compound. And I think
Yeah,
that kind of like guides your life also. You
absolutely
have
it
to
does.
like, it's not, you're not always going to be super positive. You're going to have bad days. That's not what I'm saying. But can
Why would you
fill,
call me out like that?
if you can fill a majority of your life with good stuff and saying good stuff and doing good stuff,
Right,
good thing, what you give, you get back,
right.
is what they say. So, and I think most of it's just a mentality, man.
Yeah.
It really is. It's like
Yep.
just a mentality.
Well, and it's that mindset.
Yeah.
You know, you can have a mindset going in like the boys this weekend. Well, better example, Arya got smoked on her thumb
Mhm.
playing softball,
Ooh.
like mid-season, and it hit her hard enough, like her nail disintegrated.
Yes.
Brutal. Well,
God.
she's fucking scared
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. I get it. But I try to talk to her, and Jessica does a much better job because her delivery isn't as brash as mine.
Mhm.
She has the maternal empathy.
Yeah.
I don't have any empathy. So
Yeah.
I'm more like, don't be a bitch. Get up there and fucking hit the goddamn ball.
That's why this tape is
That's
$6 a
not true.
roll.
I don't talk to my fucking 8-year-old daughter like that. Calm down. Calm down. Karen's. It's fine. But it was like, get up there, just go through the process, get in your stance, get ready, bend your legs a little bit, be comfortable, be loose, just go up there, just swing the bat.
Mhm.
Just swing the bat. You don't have to be scared. And I said, at this age, it's not, they're pitching on a machine. So I
Oh,
said, the
yeah.
machine's pretty dialed in. It's not going to be balls and strikes.
Mhm.
They're going to send 5 right down the middle. You just got to fucking connect with one of them.
Yep.
So it's okay. It's all right. And she's finally getting a little bit more back into the groove. They have their last
Good.
tournament this weekend. I'm like, I don't care if you hit a ball or not. I said, but I want you to get up there and give it your best shot and
Yep.
not be scared and
Mhm.
do the best that you can.
Mhm.
But that's it.
Yeah.
It's just your mindset. You just got to get over it. And I heard a
Yep.
great thing on a TikTok video, but it's like some of the best things in life are when you push through the fear.
It is.
And I'm like, oh man, that really resonates.
It
That
is.
really resonates because you want to know how fearful I was? Because I was the guy when I was still drinking.
Mhm.
Like, I was the guy that got invited to the party because they knew it was going to be a fucking banger. Because I was going to get everybody drinking, everybody hyped up. I'm taking over the fucking music. I'm going to randomly tackle somebody just for the fuck of it because I can, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so from a sobriety perspective, it was like, are they even going to want me around anymore? But then reframe it. And it's like, do I really care? Because this is the right decision for me. Why would I concern myself about what they think?
And that's the mindset
Yeah.
shift that
Yeah.
you got to have.
And
Because,
guess what? They didn't want me around anymore.
yeah. And guess what? It
I don't
doesn't
miss
matter.
it.
Yeah.
I don't miss it. I'm pretty
Right.
fucking happy.
Right.
I'm pretty fucking happy.
It's just, yeah, and you were happy before too, but now it was a better happy.
Yeah. And now it's a clean happy.
A clean happy.
I mean, and it's weird to think about it in that perspective.
Mhm.
But I mean, you've said the same thing. Once you stop drinking and going to the bar, being in your pool leagues or being in dart leagues, I'm sure you still occasionally talk to some of those people, but by and large, I'm sure most of them have exited your life to a large extent because you're just not in the same environment.
Right.
And so I've understood the perspective that if you want to change yourself, largely you need to change your environment.
Very true.
Like a drug addict can't keep hanging out with all their drug addict friends or their dealers.
Mhm.
You have to just completely cut it off.
And I think that's why most people can't, because you're
Sure.
literally abandoning your life.
Well, they're scared.
Yeah, and you're trying to quit your vice, whatever that
Right.
is. You know
Right.
what I mean? So you're already going through the shit.
Right.
It's tough.
It's extremely tough.
Yeah, it's tough to do.
It's wild. And I think there's, and everybody's on their own journey.
Oh yeah.
And we're not trying to call anybody out. We're not over here judging and saying that we're better than everybody else.
No, this is just what I've kind of went through.
Yeah. I think for both of us though, it's like a little bit of like midlife enlightenment.
It is.
Like I don't need all the craziness and all the bullshit and all the stuff that's manufactured. Like, oh, well, you got to be part of this and you should be engaging with this. And what about the,
Mhm.
it's like, no, I'm going to live my own fucking life on my own goddamn terms.
Well, and you said before in previous episode too about how if you would have known everything now if you knew everything then that you knew now, you'd be like unstoppable. And
Oh my God.
I think that's how so many people end up because I mean, I used to hear that when I was a kid. Like,
Yep.
yeah, if I knew now what I knew then, like
Right.
Jesus Christ, it would have
But too many people use that as a crutch.
for sure.
They use it as a crutch. Like, well, if I would have only known. No,
Well, you know
motherfucker,
now.
your life's not over.
Yeah, for
Your
sure.
life's not over.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll start right now.
I'm looking forward to my 40s, 50s, and 60s
For
and
sure.
beyond.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
why not?
Yeah.
How exciting. How exciting to know that I've been able to kind of reinvent myself and become a better version of myself, at least in my own eyes.
And I've got
With-
some physical goals now. Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to be able to do when I'm 50?
Right.
You know, like, am I still going to be able
Yeah.
to fucking do all the shit and
Absolutely.
60 and
Well, and that's where, you know, being active, going out. I don't
Yep.
have to go and spend 2.5 hours in the gym and take
No.
gear and get
right.
yoked up.
right.
You know what? You know what I can do though? I can walk a couple miles a day.
Yeah.
I could listen to some podcasts.
Yeah.
I could, the wife and I could go for a walk and we could just try to have a conversation without kids screaming in our ear.
That'd be
You know,
nice.
I think it would be super cool just to have that be a focus,
for sure.
you know, and there's nothing wrong with that in my weighted vest.
And yeah, in your weighted vest.
It's got to be
That-
in my weighted
That
vest.
kind of looks like a military vest
Yeah. Neighbors definitely were a little freaked out, I think.
in the right light between the blinds. What?
Next time I'm just going to go around carrying a "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and we'll see how many calls I get.
yeah. I was thinking you should like hang a flip flop on a sling or something on there, you know, just
That's more suspect.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
already
what I
in
mean.
flip flops.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like you got a spare just in case.
No, I'll carry around multiple pairs, and I'll be like, "These are the fucking villains that I've vanquished."
These are the flip flops of all the other flip floppers in here.
They have nothing on me, bitches.
There can only be one. It's just
All
you
right.
lurking
You
around.
got anything else on that fancy list of yours?
I do. I got one more thing.
Love it. That's perfect. Great timing.
So listen, this is just another thing that I read, not on the pooper though. I know for sure I didn't read this on the pooper.
Like I said, no judgment.
No, there's none. I just know for sure that I didn't read this on the
Gotcha.
pooper. So I just wanted to
I got
emphasize,
you, baby.
emphasize on that. This is a little more global
Okay.
about the West itself. And I want to know your opinion on it because
Sure.
it seems logical.
I'm lacking in a lot of things. Opinions are not one of them.
For sure. So the West's success can be summarized in the simple observation that millions who live in it are unable to understand what it is like to deal with hostile enemies who want to invade your country and kill you because all you've ever known is freedom, safety, and plenty. This is why so many of them suffer from suicidal empathy, support illegal immigration, and all sorts of other things that are bad for their own society, but make them feel like they're good people because they cannot comprehend that their world could be anything other than what it is.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Absolutely. We
And I never-
only live our own experience.
Yeah, and you've said that before, and it's like that makes perfect sense because I'm looking at these fucking videos, and who knows if they're real or not, of
Right.
Iran and Israel fucking shooting, and I'm looking at like Kelly and the kids, and I'm like, imagine just fucking sitting here right now, and there's fucking missiles flying over top of you, and you have no idea what to do. You're fucking expecting these to come in. Like, imagine your life at that point when you're like, oh fuck, they're actually sending missiles over here. We got to go somewhere. What do we do? What would you do? I don't know what the fuck I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't even get in your basement because it's a fucking missile. It's not a tornado. Like,
Right.
what do you even do?
Yes.
You know, where do you even go? And it's like, I don't know that anybody here other than like the veterans that are still alive
Sure.
could have any idea what any of that is like.
Yep.
Because you've only seen it on TV.
Right.
You know?
It is unnerving how soft Americans are.
Agreed.
Myself included. To an extent.
Yeah, I would say I don't know that you're soft.
I think that we don't truly know what struggle is.
We don't at all.
I think is probably a better way for me to put it.
Yeah.
Because my entire life, I've had clean drinking water. I've had indoor plumbing. I've had Heat in the winter, cool in the summer.
Yeah, I've always had
I've had
AC, a
I've had
pool,
food in my fridge and in my pantry my entire life.
plenty of it.
Access to basically any form of entertainment I could ever choose to engage with, access to electricity, access to public services, access to all these things.
Even when the electricity's out, we had a generator
Right. Right.
that we just
Right.
fired up and
We're
turned
not
it back
lighting,
on.
tea light candles over here. We're just fucking flipping the Jenny on and like, well, that's inconvenient, but we'll be fine.
Yeah. And so, like you are right now, when I read that, that's exactly what I thought of. Like,
Yep.
we've like if we've ever went without, it's because we fucking wanted to, and we went up north and we
Sure.
camped, and but you still got everything. You took
Right.
everything you need.
Right.
You know, it's not like I've never needed.
So is that statement more so? So let's frame it with the whole concept of illegal immigration,
Right.
right?
Right.
Because that's the hot topic of the moment
Sure.
right now. Do people think that getting illegal immigrants out of our country is bad because of what you referenced there, this suicidal empathy?
Yeah, I personally feel like they feel that everybody that came over is good. Everybody that came over is just like you and me,
Sure.
and that they're all just looking for a place to stay.
Yeah.
And the argument is that the people that are here came here illegally because they couldn't get here legally,
Right.
and that they're mostly not here for good. I can't say it's all of them because I know some of them that came in and that are good,
Yeah.
that aren't bad people. So I know
Right.
for a fact that all of them aren't bad.
Right. Well, in painting anything with a broad brushstroke is never a good thing to do.
But I think that was the plan, is to bring over some good ones so that getting rid of them looks bad. It
Right.
doesn't look like it's a good thing. Whoever's doing it looks like an asshole
Right.
because of what he's doing.
I,
Whether it was Trump or whoever did it,
sure.
I think you could fucking cut and paste anybody in there, and if
Sure.
they were doing it, these people would react the same way.
I look at it like this. And I look at it from a first principles perspective. Break it down so simply
Right.
that if you and I snuck into any other country and we were caught,
I feel the same exact
we
way.
would immediately be detained,
Hmm.
probably face criminal charges.
Yeah. And if
We
we're
could,
lucky, we get extradited to a US jail, because
right,
if not, you're in one of theirs, and
right.
they're not nearly as good as
So
ours.
to me, every single argument breaks down when you break the rule of law.
Absolutely
I-
correct.
And that, and again, I mean, do I empathize with these people that are here illegally, that are just trying to carve out a living and they're just trying to exist because they were leaving a terrible situation in their home country? Absolutely, I do.
I 100% do. I've heard stories personally from them that said over in Honduras or Guatemala,
Yeah,
said the government will literally come up to your house just one day and say, "This is my house now,"
right,
and they'll kick you and your family out,
right,
and you have to go find another place to live.
right,
But you still got to go to work. And that's in fucking Mexico.
right.
That's our neighbor.
Central America.
Yeah, I mean, that's right here, But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, if we go anywhere around the world, I mean, that's why you got to have passports, and that's why you got to do all the shit before you go to other countries, and you
Yeah,
got to say who you are and where you're going and how
right,
long you're going to be there, and
right.
that's the same fucking process when people come in here,
Yeah,
And now what they're saying is that the people that came over here, a lot of them, a majority, are uh fighting age males from these other countries, from Venezuela and stuff like that,
sure,
and that is a potential problem, especially if there is like some kind of a real thing trying to happen here. I mean, that's an actual problem,
sure,
because we got a lot of soft men here, a lot that aren't, but we got a lot of soft men here, and everybody's fucking fat and out of shape, and they're
right,
all worried about things that are out of their control, and they're
right.
all, it's kind of a perfect storm. So if you look at it, you can look at it from either perspective and be pissed. I think I think at the end of the day, we're all going to end up being pissed about the same thing. I mean, not all of us, but I think most of us are going to be pissed about the same thing. I
Well,
hope.
and the problem that I have currently, again, because now it's been turned into a black and white issue.
Yeah. And
You're either
that's
against deportations or you're for deportations. Like, I, okay.
when I try to
What
start stepping back. Like,
one of the tenets of libertarianism is extremely strong national borders
right.
to ensure the security of your nation.
Right.
That is, to me, that is black and white.
Yeah.
That is crystal fucking clear.
And that should be your starting point for everything.
Absolutely.
And
Because how can you take care of your citizens if there's an influx of others?
yeah.
And I do absolutely agree that immigration is a huge boon to our economy. It is a great thing to have a healthy, understood immigration platform where you allow certain numbers of people in, you or not indoctrinate them, but you what not indoctrinate, but you naturalize them as citizens.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, you bring them into the country. They are a United States citizen. We're not flying national flags from other countries inside of the US,
Right.
you know, short of you being in the United Nations Plaza. Like to me, it's just like, what are we doing?
And I feel like, I mean, that should be a good give and take. People can come here, go to college, do the things.
Sure.
Americans can go travel abroad if they want, go to these other countries, study there. That should be a good thing. That should be warranted and probably um enabled. That's the word I'm looking
Encouraged.
for. Encouraged
Yep.
some more, because man, I am not a world traveler like somebody I know.
I've been around.
Yeah. I've traveled quite a bit in the United States. Um, but man, there's a lot that I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like there's a lot of things out there that would be pretty fucking cool to see that I'm gonna see. That's why I'm looking forward to my 40s and my 50s and my 60s
Yeah, of
because
course.
that's what I think we're probably gonna go check out is all the things that we never got to see.
Right.
But yeah,
I just, I'm with you there.
there's got to be some rules,
It
and
to me it's a very binary issue.
yeah,
Like
and
there's not a lot of conversation that needs to happen about it because if you're here illegally, you're breaking the rule of law.
yeah.
And if we are forsaking the rule of law, then we've lost all the tenets of our democracy.
So, I mean, what's your take on like the riots and stuff that were happening in LA? How does anybody even condone any of that?
I
How can you be an
per
American or
yeah.
a governor over there in the state of California and condone that in any way, shape, or form?
Well, it's because they hate the current administration and this is their opportunity to act out.
And
And
that's just
realistically,
crazy.
like, and I've talked to plenty of officers around our local community when we've had our festival and different stuff.
Sure.
And it's like, you know, at the end of the day, 99% of the people that show up to these events, or in contrast, into like a protest and whatever,
Right.
99% of them are there to voice their opinion.
Yeah.
That
right.
is a constitutional right to peaceably assemble. And
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
For sure.
I'm here for it. The people have the power.
Uh,
But what I don't agree with is that type of shit. The 1% that comes in
yeah. And it's
and
like,
they
what the
create chaos and then they start rioting and then people take crimes of opportunity.
opportunistic. Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like back during the Rodney King riots. You were probably a little too young, but
yeah.
back in like 1994, you know, the LA riots
Mhm.
after the beating of Rodney King, you know, they were destroying their own neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like,
know it.
what are you doing?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, this
It's
this
almost
is your
like
local bodega. This is your fucking school. This
Yeah.
is your fucking grocery store. What are you doing?
It's almost like a psychosis that just kind of takes over,
Yeah,
a product of
it
your environment.
it does
you
not
know?
register with me.
No, I mean,
Like I can't. I tried to rationalize it because again, I was talking to somebody earlier today. I do suffer from, and I think a lot of people do, but I do suffer from the ability of I can see a lot of different perspectives when I look at a single issue.
right.
Very little is binary for me where it's either just black or white. I can understand other people's perspective, but when it comes to illegal immigration, not immigration,
Right.
illegal immigration, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You're breaking the law.
Yeah.
If I go out there and I don't have functioning taillights, functioning headlights, and my car's not registered, I'm in fucking trouble.
Yeah,
That's the rule of law. So if you've given yourself access to a country and all of a sudden you're reaping the rewards, but you're not a United States citizen, why should that be treated any differently? Because I'm a citizen and I could still get in trouble for breaking the rules.
exactly.
So for me, it's very simple when you break it down. There,
Yeah.
to me, there isn't a lot of nuance. There isn't a lot of needed discussion about it because no, they're breaking the fucking law.
So a lot of this stuff that's been happening like this, it's got me really interested in like history. Wondering
Sure.
like what happened before I was even here. Like
Sure.
how the hell did we get to this point?
Right.
Donald Trump's second term, fucking just turmoil everywhere.
Right.
The Middle East is fighting again. Like, how the hell did we even get here? So I listened to this podcast on Rogan, Ken Burns.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard
He's
that?
amazing.
So have you ever watched any of his videos?
No.
So he's like a fucking documentary guy, and he's been doing it since the late 70s or
Wow.
so.
Okay.
And some of them are movies, some of them are like 1 or 2 hours long, but he does like the Civil War, the American Revolution, Vietnam, and he takes like on Vietnam as an 18-hour mini series. It's like
Wow.
10 episodes. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like 10 episodes. He does all of his productions with PBS, and the reason that he did that is because he said PBS allowed him to do the documentary exactly as he wanted,
Yeah.
could take as much time as he wanted, and they didn't push him to a deadline, because he's
Okay.
like, I want to do Vietnam. It took him 7 years.
Wow.
And it was him and a couple producers, and they acquired all these historians, people that were in the war.
No shit.
Yeah, all kinds of shit. There's like a little 25-minute preview on it, and he
Yeah.
kind of goes over like how in depth this is. And they had these different screenings, and they would bring in these historians and Vietnam guys, and they would watch it, and then they would want all of their critiques. What was right? What was wrong?
Sure.
I wanted
Brilliant way to do it.
yeah, music from the time period,
Right.
like, and he got real account interviews because Vietnam, there's a lot of people alive that were still in Vietnam, so they got like real live accounts from soldiers, from the Vietnamese. Like they went over to Vietnam and spent like 19 months there, and like posted up with a camera crew and talked to all these people over in Vietnam. And the whole like introductory thing had me so fucking intrigued. We're like, I'm gonna watch it. You can
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime, you can get it's an additional fucking membership, but it's pretty cheap, and you can get a free trial. So I'm gonna get the free trial, but the entire Ken Burns collection
No
is on there.
shit.
I mean, he's got
Put that shit on Plex, man.
I know, I was
Sit,
thinking
sail
about
the
it.
high seas and let's watch that shit.
The Statue of Liberty, Joe Jackson, the boxer, the black
Yeah.
boxer,
Yep.
goes over, has a whole documentary thing on him, and
No shit.
Muhammad Ali, fucking just all kinds of stuff. And I mean, he's like so in depth and so like right down to the finest minuscule detail
Yeah.
that I'm super intrigued
That
because
sounds really interesting.
yeah, because it goes back. It's not conspiracy, it's documentary. It's accounts that he can 100% prove actually happened.
That's and
Whether
that's huge because you watch a
yeah,
lot of true crime shit. Everything's spun a certain way.
exactly, for
There's a
like
lot of
entertainment
spin.
value,
Yep.
and but I'm super intrigued. If you haven't listened to the Ken Burns Rogan podcast,
Is it the most recent one?
yep, it's
Okay.
just man, like sometime last week, I
Okay.
think, but it's really good. It's like 3 hours long. Talks, a little bit about history, some current events, about kind of his documentary series and how he got going on it, and
Yeah.
his relationship with PBS. And he's like, I could have went anywhere realistically. He's like, and they would have gave me $30 million to create one of these documentary series. He goes, but they would have wanted it in 2 years.
Right.
And he's like, that's not the work that I do. He's
Right.
like, every single thing that we've done, he's like, we've hired the people, we took the time, we got the historians, we got real life people, we got
Did it the right way.
did it the right way.
Right.
And he's like, and once we started doing that, and what did he say after the American Revolution? He's like, we did the American Revolution, and he's like, it gets so dirty in there, when you're trying to get a new country and form this,
Sure.
this American Revolution. He says it's dirty, and there's a lot of things going on, and then you have the Civil War, which
Right.
is now your country, is battling against each other, and you've
Right.
got your oh, the hell's the guy's name? Um I keep wanting to say Benjamin Franklin, but that's Benedict Arnold. You got your
Right.
Benedict Arnold, in
Right.
there where he's kind of playing both sides, and he goes, it just gets real dicey. And then you've got the framing of the Constitution and the words that they use, and he's like, there's real life accounts on paper of the conversations that they were having in this
Wow.
room, of Thomas Jefferson piping up and saying, no, 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 that's not how you put it. And there's an attorney in there that's
No
talking
shit.
about it. Yeah, and it's like super cool. And he's like, after we got all done with that, he goes, we're just mentally drained. And he says, I don't think we can do another war docuseries. That is just so draining. And he goes, and no sooner than we got done with that, he goes, somebody's talking to me about Vietnam, and I forget what course of like how it all played out, but some course of events came up where he just like, I got to do Vietnam, like because
18 hours.
yeah, it's a
Awesome.
10-part miniseries, and he said Vietnam was the best and the worst one that they did because they basically got into that war on a false flag.
Right.
It was a bunch of lies.
Right.
The soldiers were treated like shit, and there's like accounts of people on there, these hippies that were against the war and was like waiting for the soldiers to fucking get off the plane so they could call them baby killers and spit in
Right.
their faces and shit. And there's like these hippies on there that are like, now that I'm older and I know what I know now and like what happened and how none of these guys actually wanted to go to war, they're like, feel like shit,
Yeah.
like I feel terrible about that. And like all these guys that came back and they didn't want to go, like they have real life, they have real video from like inside these bunkers of like this fucking 19-year-old kid. And he's like loading M16 and he's like, I forget what the reporter asked him, but he's like, yeah, we're all just trying to get this done so we can get the fuck home. And he fucking like racks his gun and fucking gets up. And there's gunfire everywhere, and he fucking gets up and like runs off into the bush. And it's like, I can't even fucking imagine that. Like
No.
you're sitting in front of a fucking TV waiting for your number to be called and get drafted, and then all of a sudden years later you find out it was all based on some bullshit. And the
Terrible.
Vietnamese didn't want to be there, the Americans didn't want to be there, and it's like they just fucking sent all these people's kids
To their
to
deaths.
their death. Yeah.
And if they
Like
didn't die there, they
they
died
died
slowly back home.
100%. And it's like, that's fucking terrible. And that's why all this shit going on right now is like, Michael actually asked me about it because it popped up on the news. He's like, what's all this stuff going on with like Iran and Israel? And it's hard to explain because like now that I'm looking at all the Vietnam stuff, it's like, this is all just money changing hands is all this is. We want you to get into a war so that you buy the weapons from us so that we can pump the money back into our economy and we can try to fix it all. But how do you explain that to a 12-year-old?
Yep.
And how do you
When
explain
you figure it out, let me know.
yeah, and how do you explain that to, the boomers that were in Vietnam?
Right.
How do you tell them that they did that for nothing? They were lied to. It's like,
Right.
and that's still some weird fucking turmoil because there's a lot of them people still alive
Oh, yeah.
that were in that,
Yeah,
and some of them
absolutely.
know and some of them don't, but it's like they say that when you go over to Vietnam, it's like there's never even a war that even happened over there. Like
Really.
yeah, like they said you really have to dig deep and ask a lot of questions and find the elders that were in Vietnam. And even a lot of them are willing to talk about it, but none of them wanted to be there. Like
Yeah.
they all talk about like seeing the Americans, like they ran up on them, they ambushed these fucking Americans, and they said that they remember the Americans coming in and grabbing their dead and running off with them, and the Vietnamese wouldn't shoot them because they said that looking at them, they realized that that's what we do too. We would go in,
We're all just human.
we're all just human,
Oh, my God.
and there's these like firsthand accounts of these like 60, 70-year-old men that are like, fuck,
Yeah.
like what the fuck do we do? Like, and you didn't have a choice.
Well, and I had a very visceral reaction as a 10-year-old when George Bush got on television
Mm,
and addressed the nation and said, we're going to war
yeah.
in the Middle East. At 10 years old, I'm like, oh my God. And
Like,
I,
what the
I
fuck?
remember literally being on the top bunk of my bunk bed crying, wanting to talk to my dad because I thought he was going to get drafted.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that is a visceral fucking memory for
Yeah.
me because it was terrifying.
That's crazy.
Because
Yeah.
it was all like quick shots of like F-35s taking off and they're
Yeah.
showing like bombs going. And I'm like, as a
What the
little kid
fuck?
with no concept of anything on a global scale, I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking terrifying. My dad's going to be gone. You know,
Yeah,
what the
right.
hell? It's just war's terrible across the board. And the
Yeah,
military industrial complex has their fucking evil fucking tendrils in everything.
I know. And when you follow it, it all goes back to that. Like
It's
hu
all money.
humans don't want war. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of these things are going on right now with this Iran-Israel thing. It's like, no, we can't get involved.
Right.
Like, we can't get involved. And if you want to get involved, why don't you guys all go?
Right.
Why don't we take Congress
Well,
and all you fuckers that want to
yeah.
do it, you guys all go. Don't send us.
Right.
Like, don't fucking make us go over there. This isn't our problem. This is your problem.
Right.
You know?
Well, and to that point, 99.9% of the people in both Iran and Israel don't want fuck all to do with any of this bullshit either.
No.
There's a couple of fucking douchey Iranians sitting in a podcast studio right now saying, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on,
Yeah.
man?
What the fuck is going on?
Leave me alone. I just want to go fucking work my job and provide for my family and live my life.
Yeah.
This is not what we want.
No. It's,
And that's what people lose sight of.
Mhm.
You know, you want to listen to the talking heads, or you want to fucking worship the president, or you want to fight Congress, whatever it is. No, the people have the power. The
Right.
people need to rise up and say, no,
No, we're not.
we're not
Yeah,
fucking
we're not
doing
fucking
this.
doing this.
We're,
Right.
we are not funding another fucking war
It's just
because
such
it never
bullshit.
ends.
No,
It's not,
it never ends.
It's not like running a race where you have a starting line and a finish line. It just perpetuates because all of a sudden, oh, there's additional turmoil in Yemen, and now we got to go there.
And yeah,
and then
fucking
Egypt,
Turkey's pissed
now
off.
Egypt has an uprising, and
Yeah.
now Russia's getting involved, and it's
Yeah.
like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
That's exactly what I keep saying. Like, what the fuck are we doing? And that's why I want to go back and watch these Ken Burns documentaries.
Yeah,
Because I want to go back all the way to the American Revolution.
right.
And I want to see how it goes. Because they said in this thing that, like, George Washington was kind of he was a really great leader, but he wasn't like very tactical. He fucked up a
Yeah.
couple of times,
Okay.
like pretty big, but he was such a good leader that he could take like subpar individuals and turn them into great fighters. Like, he was inspiring. He would fucking just amp up the whole entire room, and he would get these guys to fight way better than their abilities just by looking at him. And that
No
was his
shit.
biggest quality.
Wow.
But yeah, like, he fucked up a couple times. Like, he would leave their left flank open and they got invaded by the British. Well, then fucking a couple weeks later, he left the right flank open because he overdid the left, got fucked up. Well, then he went back and gathered all of these like poor ingrates, basically.
Farmers, probably.
They couldn't really do anything, and loaded them all up and just amped them all up, and fucking they went in and got their land back and got everything back. And that was his
Wow.
biggest quality was just leadership and like
No shit.
getting people to the best of their ability, which I thought was pretty cool. Because it's like you think about all these like big head figures: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin,
Sure.
Abraham Lincoln, you know, all of these guys. And imagine all of these guys sitting in a room. A lot of them, like Abraham Lincoln, had the proclamation,
The Emancipation.
Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes. Tongue twister.
Yeah. So, but before that, they were saying that a lot of these slave owners and stuff, they knew it was wrong, but they also knew the profit that they made off of it, you know? And
Right.
it's like a guy like Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, had to come in and say, we have to put a stop to this. You know,
Right.
like, this is not okay.
Right.
And imagine the first time he said that, everybody was probably like, who the fuck is this guy? You know,
Right.
like, you're going to fucking reap all my, you know, whatever. But he, you know, he was the one that came in and said, everybody's created equal, you
Right.
know, like, we can't fucking do this shit anymore.
Right.
And, just to be a fly on the wall when some of these conversations
Oh,
are
I know.
happening
Yeah.
back when this whole place was first founded, you know,
Yeah.
like, there were some values and every one of them had a different input, you know, on how, but they all came to this collective agreement on the Constitution, you know, and the Declaration of
Jesus.
Independence. And I want to watch all of that kind of unfold
Yeah.
all the way up until the 20s or so, when the Federal Reserve is created,
Right.
you know, and then it all really starts getting kind of meaty.
Yeah.
Then you got a couple
Kind of
world,
shitty.
yeah, well, because then you got a couple world wars in there
Right.
after that really start fucking funding all this stuff. Because Smedley Butler was even saying this is back in the 30s, that there was millions of dollars changing hand back in the 30s.
Crazy.
That's
That's
crazy.
absolute
You know,
insanity.
and they're like giving contracts to all these like Montgomery Ward and Coca-Cola and like all these like different companies are just like, oh, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll make this, we'll make that. And they're moving their whole facilities over to make it. And it's like, fuck, it's
Well,
all a racket.
I mean, I think Einstein said it, and I could be I'm probably going to fuck up the quote pretty bad. He's like, I have no idea in what way or when World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be with sticks and stones,
It's very true.
you know? And I
Yeah.
mean, and again, I don't have an answer. I don't know how to stop global nuclear proliferation. I don't have the answer, right?
Maybe one day.
No, I don't want to put any bandwidth on that. I don't have an answer for that. But the first country to launch a nuclear weapon, it's mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Because then everybody's hitting the button and we're going to live in a fucking, you know, desert made out of sand because these fucking bombs are going
Yeah,
to
and
turn
it's like,
everything to glass.
yeah, and it's like, what even is the nuclear fucking bomb? Like, is it just nobody wants to shoot? Is it just a threat? Is it
Yeah.
just like, oh, well, we have some uranium and we're going to enrich it and we're going to put it in this thing. We're not going to use it, but if you piss us off, we're going to threaten you that we're going to use it.
Right.
Like,
And eventually we're going to get some unhinged motherfucker or some fucking terrorist group or something.
yeah, it seems like that
And-
could fall into bad hands. Like, I've seen Mission Impossible before.
Right.
Tom Cruise has fought off 5 of these guys already.
I know.
Yeah,
What a stud.
I got
Scientology for the win, baby.
we might need you here soon, buddy.
L. Ron Hubbard, come back. Come back and save us from ourselves.
Please. Yeah, please.
I mean, it's just it's fucking unsettling.
I know.
It's unsettling. And those are the types of things. And that again, I can't tell you the last time I watched the news.
Yeah, right.
Because it's so negative and it's so spun in whatever editorialized aspect they want it to be that it's
Yeah.
like, ugh, everything just feels gross about it. And if you actually thought that everything you saw in the news was true, you might as well just fucking kill yourself.
Absolutely.
Because there's no hope. There's no hope.
No.
This is the end.
Because it is everything bad.
Everything terrible.
Yep.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But
God, what a fucking note to finish on.
I know, right?
Ugh. Make a dick joke.
I don't have one. Oh, you know
you
what?
don't have a dick?
You know what?
Perfect joke.
I do. That's not a joke anymore. Don't judge me.
Do you identify as a eunuch?
No. No, it's all there.
Good
It's all
man.
there.
Good man. Got the Franken beans.
Listen, I'm going to end this with a quote. Remember Jerry Springer back in the day? How
Do
he
I
always
remember?
used to
I grew up on that shit. Every
always
sick
used
day
to-
was Jerry Springer for hours.
sitting watching chicken noodle soup, watching midget strippers beat
That's
the
right.
shit out of each other.
Saltines, baby.
That's
Let's
great.
go. Yes.
So this is going to be my final thought.
Okay.
Right here. The ego is not who you really are. The ego is your self-image. It's your social mask. It's the role that you are playing. Your social mask thrives on approval. It wants control, and it's sustained by power because it lives in fear.
Oof.
That's a good one.
Oof.
That's a good
That's
one.
a heavy one. And that came from Jerry. That was Jerry's final thoughts one episode?
No, this is my final thought.
That was your final
That was
thought.
just my iteration of Jerry's final thought.
Dude, I fucking love that.
Me too. That was a good one.
Read it one more time.
The ego is not who you really are. The ego is your self-image. It's your social mask. It is the role that you are playing. Your social mask thrives on approval. It wants control, and it is sustained by power because it lives in fear.
Wow.
And that's
fucking deep, bro. Did you write that when you were high?
No, but it's so fucking true though.
It's so true.
Because everybody puts on some type of a mask whenever they leave the house, whether you go to work, you go to the grocery store, you go do whatever it is that you're doing, you're trying to mask how whatever it is you're really thinking about, you know, and then you got your people that you don't have to do that with.
Right.
You know, you can just kind of show up and just, you know, be yourself, and, you know, they're not going to judge you. You don't have that fear of judgment, or, you know, you can show up in fucking pajama pants if you want, you know, and you know, they're not going to
I'm gonna
talk
call
shit
you out
about
on
you.
it, but it'll be friendly ribbing.
Yeah, but they're gonna be lions pajama pants.
Yeah,
you're not gonna hate them that much.
No,
Be like, hey, you look like a bum, but it's okay.
My kind of bum, though, baby.
My kind of bum.
My kind of bum. Well, I just watched Fight Club again because it's on Max right now. You know, and Brad Pitt has such a banger of a line
Dude.
when Tyler and Jack are sitting in the bar
Mhm.
before their first fight. And Jack is talking about all the things that got blown up in his apartment.
Mm.
At the time, he didn't know that Tyler was the one to blow it up. But Tyler says, the things you own end up owning you.
That entire movie has got bangers of quotes
Banger after banger.
that is God, I'm glad you brought that up because that's the movie of ego.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's the two sides of you. It's who you are to everybody else and
Yep.
who you are inside your head.
Right.
You know, and it's the two complete.
Yep. Well, and it's funny because when somebody, you know, even when we walk out of here in the most hetero way we do, you know, high five, give you a hug, we tell each other we love you,
Yeah.
you know, and we move on with our nights.
Mhm.
But it's like when people tell me that, or like I'm so terrible at receiving compliments because I have such a low self-esteem.
Right.
And again, it's something that I'm fully aware of and I need to work on.
Sure.
But I've been in such a state of self-loathing for so many years that when people give me compliments or they tell me they love me, I'm like, I don't even love myself. How the fuck could anybody else love me? You know, it's crazy to
Yeah.
think
I
that.
know.
But
I
it's
know.
like, again, attempting to break that perpetual cycle of negativity and
Mhm.
being in the right mindset to be like, that was really nice. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
I got a guy at work who is that same way too.
Yep.
Like I'll be like, "Hey, dude, thanks." And prior he would go, "Just doing my job," you know,
And that's me.
yeah,
That's what, yep.
like stop thanking me for doing my job.
Right.
But finally, now that I broke him in after
Yeah.
8 or 9 years,
Yeah.
I always tell him like, "Hey, dude, thanks." He's like, "Yeah, you're welcome." And I told him the other day, I goes, "I'm proud of you for growing up." He goes, "Yeah, I have gotten a little bit better, haven't I?"
That's
But
perfect though.
but it's one of those things that
Yep.
again he was also aware of, you know, but we've had conversations before like, "Hey, like it's if I say it, I'm not saying it out of habit. I'm saying
Right.
it because I'm actually
Right.
appreciative of your efforts." You know what I
Right.
mean? "Hey, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it."
Right.
I'm not saying it like, "Hey, thanks, dude. You know, see you later." Like it's not
Right.
like that. It's like it's genuine. I actually appreciate it. And he's like, "Okay." You know, and he kind of took it to heart like, "Oh, okay." You know, maybe he does mean it.
Which is great.
Yeah, because sometimes you work kind of a thankless job, you know, where like
Absolutely.
you're supposed to just do the shit and, you know, people just expect you to do it. They're
Right.
not going to pat you on the ass for it because
And that was one
you're
of my
supposed to do it.
deficiencies as a manager.
Yeah.
I hired you to do a job. I'm paying you to do a job. So fucking do it.
Yeah. Fucking do it.
And I'm very self-aware of that. That
Yeah.
was one of my biggest faults as a manager was like, you were hired to do a job. Do your fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I have to sit here and say thank you 27 times, then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
You know, and
But
so
everybody's
but
a little different. Some people you got to,
self-recognition goes a long way
you know,
in understanding that. So, all right, as we close out, I'll leave you with one more Tyler Durden quote that is just an absolute fucking banger.
we're going to have to do these like every week. We're just going to
They're
grab them.
they're
Yeah,
so good.
they are good.
So good. Well, and to a fault, I've read all of Chuck Palahniuk's books,
Mm-hmm.
and they are fucking some of the most unhinged shit I have ever fucking read.
So I've never read them. Are they like iteration of Fight Club or are they
No,
completely different?
Fight Club was one of his books.
Okay.
And then he's got a ton of other ones. He wrote an anthology series. He's got the Hellfire Club. I mean, just all
No shit.
shit is fucking unhinged.
What's his name?
Chuck Palahniuk.
Chuck Palahniuk. Okay.
Yep. And it is fucking amazing.
Are they all like crazy mind benders? Like
yeah.
Fight
They
Club?
really fuck with you.
Hell
They
yeah.
really fuck with you. They're really,
that. I'm gonna
he's
have
a
to check 'em
very
out.
talented author. And I love reading his shit. I've read all of his books a couple of times.
Okay.
I've got a few that I have in hard copies that I'll give to you.
Yeah.
You know,
I'd love to check
They're
them out.
fucking great.
Hell yeah.
But when Tyler is giving Jack the acid burn
Yeah.
on his hand,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, you know, he slaps him in the face and he tells him to stay here, stay present, stay with the pain, because that's what makes you feel alive. But what he says is, you know, if our fathers were the model for God, and our fathers bailed, what does that tell you about God? And to me, that, again, religious upbringing,
Yeah.
but that really resonated. You know, if our fathers were our physical manifestation of how we viewed God,
Mm-hmm.
and our fathers bailed, even though neither one of ours did. But
Sure.
thinking it from a more ethereal perspective,
Sure.
what does that tell you about God? I was like, whoo, that gets the wheels spinning a little bit. And I think about that shit. And it's funny because I finished the movie. I just kind of sat there. I'm like, just kind of sitting in it.
Yeah.
Just,
Right.
just sitting in it. And I'm like, this is fucking crazy. I mean, there's just some real existential quotes / questions in there. And it's like, this
That
is fucking
that
crazy
whole
to me.
movie is so good. Like the relationship between Tyler and Martha
Yep.
and um Jack
Yep.
and Martha,
Yep.
you know, and the different and the way that she views it, and then when they kind of go back to it and show those interactions, and it's like the whole thing is just so fucking crazy, man. Like
I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I watched that back probably when I was in fucking high school, like my
It came out in 99.
Yes, yeah. So I watched it in high school, and I remember thinking, "Holy shit, what a good movie that was!" I remember watching it again and again because I was like, I had to have missed something. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is fucking too weird, you know.
Yep.
Every time I watched it for a while, I would see something else
I
because
know.
now you're paying attention. The whole entire thing, like the mind trip that it takes you down, where he's uh, puts together this mob of people, you know, that
Yeah.
are running around the city as fucking like vigilante justice, you know,
Yep.
the whole thing is
Project
just
Mayhem, baby.
Project Mayhem.
It's fucking great.
It is. It's
It
a
is
great movie.
absolutely mind blowing.
And
Well,
Edward Norton's fucking
oh,
awesome
phenomenal.
and like everything that he plays.
Well, and when they're doing like the flashbacks and whatnot, you know, they're talking to the chief of police or the police
Yeah.
commissioner, and they have him in the bathroom. They
Yeah.
put the rubber band around his balls,
Yes.
you know, because they're like, do not fuck with us. You know, we're the ones that keep your fucking electricity running. We remove your garbage. We do all the shit.
Yep.
And I mean, if you look at it, it's really a reference to how much power the people have if they could get over this tribalistic issues that we have
It's
collectively as a society. If we were to unite, collectively instead of argue with each other, the populace by and large has all the fucking power.
every bit.
And I'm not talking about like overthrowing the government, but if you want to make your voice heard, we need to all be able to work together
And show up.
to a common goal to show up and institute real change.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's more evident than ever that regardless of who you have in office for the president, and then you have to bring in the Senate and the House as well, these people are only out for themselves. They may have altruistic intentions, but at the end of the day, you look at all the things that are done when they're in office, and none of them ever fucking land.
No.
It's all bullshit. It's all lip service. It's just the same old, same old. Washington's just going to do what Washington does.
Yep.
And so for me, that's why I have a very clear understanding that the system's broken. The system is absolutely 100% broken.
Yep.
And when Trump goes out and Kamala goes out and whoever the candidates are going to be in 2028, and they go out and, oh, we're going to do this and we're dot. It's all just lip service.
It's all just bullshit.
Just lip service.
It's all just bullshit.
And again, not a tremendous fan of Trump, but I can appreciate the fact that he's actually trying to do some of the things that he said he was going to do.
Yeah, and he's trying to do some different things. You know, I don't agree with everything that he's doing, and I really fucking hope that this whole war thing goes away.
Yeah.
But now you don't hear so much about Russia and Ukraine. Now it's about Israel and Iran.
Right.
And
It's
like,
just what's the hot button issue?
Yeah, it's like now we're just skipping. Like,
Yep.
Putin's going to be mad that they're not talking about him soon. And real quick before we go, we did see a video of this fucking Ukrainian soldier that was driving a motorcycle, and there's a guy in the front, and they're talking. Obviously, I don't know what they're saying, but they're fucking talking, and a drone comes flying in and just misses him, and it hits him on his shoulder and like tumbles off and blows up in the fucking ditch. And he like looks at his buddy goes, go, 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 and he fucking floors it. Well, they play it in slow motion, and he's fucking just driving down this dirt road, and it's like a front facing camera, and you see this drone about this big with a fucking bomb attached to it on the top, and it just missed him. It must have like not hit the detonate, and it bounced off, and when it hit the ditch, it blew up. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yay.
And he fucking floors it, and he's like, doesn't know if anything else is coming. And I'm like, that would be fucking terrifying. Like, that's just.
And What a great way to bring it full circle. What do we have to worry about? Deer in October.
Yeah.
You
right.
know, that's the only thing we're fucking dodging.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? That's your everyday life when all of a sudden you're fucking just riding around on a motorcycle and you have to watch out for fucking ordnance strapped drones.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Like, talk about stress. Jesus Christ, man.
Holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Just craziness.
It is crazy.
Just craziness. Well, let's end on a high note where we're talking about how terrible war is. I just had some flash across my face like, that might be his old face. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Kelly. Kelly, shoot me a text after you listen to this episode. I got to know.
It's
oh, God. I ain't got a snort out of me. That's awkward. All right. Wow. Glad we brought back a little bit of levity right here at the end.
Yeah.
Talking about your orangutan O-face. All right. Well, for this week's episode of Incredibly Uncensored, I am Johnny B. Good, joined by my man.
And I'm Mikey B.
Thank you for watching. Hey, to our 15s of listeners, we only have a few ratings on Spotify or Apple or all of the places that you listen, even on YouTube. Give us a little, 5-star action over there, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, just a little bit. Help out the algorithm a little bit. Let's bump us up.
Just the tip of the 5th star.
Just the tip, please. Just the tip. All right, we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.